Suburbicon is directed by George Clooney and stars Matt Damon, Julianne Moore and Oscar Isaac. I was very lucky to see this movie at an advanced screening, which has given me the opportunity to see this movie 2 weeks before the official UK release. We were also given some free pizza at the screening too, which was nice. I know this movie came out about 2 weeks ago in the US, however I have seen it early for the UK and I have some thoughts on the new Coen Brothers movie. The story revolves around a family who live in an idealistic 50s American suburban area appropriately titled Suburbicon. However, these families' lives are shaken up when a murder occurs, putting the entire town on edge, while also having the first African American family moving into Suburbicon is also stirring up some hysteria from the townfolk. Matt Damon gives a fantastic performance in this film as the character Gardener Lodge. He is played off to be a very wooden, stoic character, and this works really well for the story he is swept up in. Matt Damon is able to make the audience see what may be going on inside his head while not giving too much away, which adds to the surrounding mystery of his character. This I really enjoyed. Julianne Moore plays Matt Damon's sister-in-law in the movie, and she is also great here. I've never seen Julianne Moore provide us with a performance like this before. She is easily one of the more interesting characters in the film, as her character is quite peculiar. I won't say why, but her character is very strange, but Julianne Moore completely sold it to me. Also, special shout out goes to the wonderful Oscar Isaac. We all fell in love with him as Poe Dameron in Star Wars The Force Awakens, and we have followed him closely ever since. Now, he is not in the movie much, but he steals the scene every single time he shows up. He has got so much swagger and charisma, and I don't like using this word too much, but he was just so cool. I have always been a big fan of these 50s idealistic towns as a concept, and when I see them explored in media, it always gains my interest. Here in Suburbicon, it is presented as being this perfect, typical American family town, however it does sometimes come across as being extremely creepy. This was definitely intentional given the tone of the movie, and I loved it. Sticking with the tone, this movie has a very dark and twisted foundation which the story is built upon. The world established here seems to be one in which everybody has something going on with them, and it presents you with an upfront, uneasy ambience etched throughout the whole movie. This tone definitely worked for the story, mix that with the incredibly dark humour, and you have a well established and well built up world here. Now, the dark humour falls under the subject of the script. Now, this film was written by the excellent talent known as the Coen Brothers, who have written scripts for films such as Hail Caesar and Bridge of Spies. The script for Suburbicon really shines in some points, having some snappy dialogue between characters and some genuinely funny moments with that dark humour I mentioned earlier. However, the script on the whole is incredibly inconsistent, as there are some awful lines throughout the film, as well as a lot of the dialogue being rather boring. Another problem is that this film is cluttered, and I mean really cluttered. The film tries to have so many different elements and it can never quite decide which one to focus on. This film doesn't know what it wants to be, and that's a big issue. I'd say it does choose a primary story, however the African American family side story that I mentioned at the start of the review just comes across as being quite irrelevant in the overall context of the film. The movie just needed to crack down and tighten up, but it never really does, which leaves the film as a bit of a messy product in the end. So, George Clooney. He directed this film.
I freeze, I'm Batman. I freeze, I'm Batman. I freeze, I'm Batman. I freeze, I'm Batman.
Now, George Clooney was the director of this film, and I love George Clooney as an actor, but I've never been a fan of any of his directorial films to date. While I will say Suburbicon is one of his better films, he still was not able to implement his own sense of style into the movie. This just felt very average on the directing front. Now admittedly, he did manage to get a couple of cool shots in here and there, but it felt like anybody could have directed this. However, I do wish George the best with directing in the future, as I believe he can make a truly great film one day. On the whole, Suburbicon was an interesting movie with a lot of great ideas and concepts, sealed off with a fantastic, well-rounded cast. Now, even though I have plenty of issues with this film which I have just addressed, I did find the overall experience of Suburbicon to be rather entertaining to watch, which is making it difficult for me to give this movie a definitive ranking. However, I will say that despite its flaws, the movie managed to keep me engaged, and on the whole, I had a good time with it. I give Suburbicon a C.